You know the feeling. You get up from the couch with a specific mission, march straight toward the kitchen, and the second you step onto the tile, your mind wipes completely clean. It is easy to write this off as a personal glitch, or maybe a sign that your memory is slipping, but you are far from the only one standing in the kitchen wondering why you are there. Cognitive psychologists have actually named this phenomenon. They call it the doorway effect, or the location updating effect. This is an entirely predictable quirk in human cognition, and researchers have spent years trying to figure out exactly what triggers it. Starting in 2006, a team of psychologists at the University of Notre Dame set out to isolate the exact variables that make us forget. To do that, they needed an environment they could control completely, down to the inch, so they utilized virtual reality. In the baseline experiment, participants navigated a series of virtual rooms. They would pick up specific virtual objects, carry them around, and then suddenly face a quiz, asking them to identify exactly what they were holding. The data extracted from these tests showed that short-term memory doesn't operate like a continuous recording. Instead, it seemed to behave as a series of distinct partitioned segments. The most obvious explanation for this memory wipe is time. Does the brain drop the information simply because walking into a new room takes a few extra seconds? Researchers tested participants carrying objects across identical distances. One group crossed a massive open room. The other passed through a doorway. Both took the exact same time, yet the doorway group experienced a massive spike in memory errors. Time wasn't the culprit. If it isn't time, maybe it is visibility. Do we forget our original goal because a physical wall blocks our line of sight to the previous room, cutting off our visual cues? The team ran another test, replacing solid walls with transparent glass. Participants could see exactly where they just came from. But even with perfect visibility, the memory wipe happened at the exact same rate. With time and visual cues officially ruled out, the data pointed to the brain reacting to an invisible, structural trigger. There was one final variable to check. What if the brain is just getting distracted by a change in interior decor? Researchers took a large, unbroken virtual room and drastically changed the wallpaper and textures right at the halfway point. Without a physical boundary, that sudden visual shift did absolutely nothing. Memory remained perfectly intact. This breakthrough is outlined here in a paper introducing a scientific framework known as the Event Horizon Model. Your brain chops experiences into distinct episodes called event models, like mental file folders. Crossing a doorway seals the old folder and opens a fresh one. Pulling from two folders simultaneously creates retrieval interference, a mental traffic jam that causes you to draw a blank. To your memory, a physical doorway operates as an architectural command to partition your thoughts into separate, locked files. Follow-up research conducted by Bond University and the University of Queensland in Australia brought a new angle to the investigation. They noticed that we do not forget our goals every single time we walk into a new room. For the doorway effect to trigger, the brain has to be in a very specific state. The memory wipe is most severe when our working memory is already heavily loaded. If you are counting backward, worrying about an email, or otherwise distracted, you are highly susceptible. The doorway acts as a physical tripwire, but it only severs your memory when your brain is operating at maximum cognitive capacity. When we consider that the brain has limited resources to manage, this partitioning starts to look less like a random error and more like an active management strategy. Imagine if your brain kept every piece of information from every room active in one giant workspace at all times. You would be completely paralyzed by the sheer volume of data. By automatically purging the old event model, your brain clears cognitive RAM. That frees up vital processing power, allowing you to quickly scan the new room for new tools, changing rules, or potential threats. If you absolutely must remember your objective, you have to actively rehearse that thought right as you cross the threshold to override the automatic deletion. So the next time you blank in the middle of your kitchen, don't be frustrated. You are just witnessing your brain performing a background refresh to make sure you're ready for what's next.